Change the title to today's date.
Oh shoot, I didn't realize that it was wrong. All right. Hold on. My bar. Okay, I'm gonna have to keep moving my bar because I like to see your faces while I do this, so I don't miss you.
I think if you do Control H, it'll get rid of the bar. Can I have the two new officers please put their emails in the chat so I can send you a document, please?
Oh wait, no, I wasn't supposed to hit that.
Whoever has the live stream on their computer, can you mute it?
Just give me 1 second. As you new people could see, I always have tech difficulties, and this is why we usually try and get started a little earlier. Hold on, I'm trying to get back to Zoom so I could hit record, but when I hit the Zoom, it's not letting me go. Let me see. Oh, I hate this. Anybody got any tips? Because I'm trying to go back to Zoom so I could hit record, but when I hit the Zoom, I can't get there. You know what? We're just going to have to wing it from here.
Right. What are you trying to do? You're on Zoom right now?
Okay, there. Because usually I can see all of you guys, but hold on. You know what? I think I got this. All right. Can everybody see the agenda?
Yeah.
All right. Then I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 12:03 p.m. And we'll start off with a roll call. So myself, I'm here. Chris?
Here.
Christina?
Here.
Louise? Is Louise here?
Here?
Oh,
Oh, there. Sorry.
You're good. Alex?
Here.
Jasmine?
Here.
Kelly?
Here. Sorry.
I know you're good. Emmanuel?
Present.
Kyle?
Here.
David?
Here.
All right, we're all here. So next up, before we proceed any further, I would like to acknowledge that we are conducting business on the native land of the Hahamanga tribe of the Tongva Nation and to offer a moment of silence for those who came before us. All right. So next we're moving on to agenda items. 1C, approval of agenda for October 7th, 2020. If everything on the agenda looks good and there's nothing that needs to be edited or changed, then I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the agenda of October 7th.
So,
Approval of the agenda.
nothing to change, but I do recall tabling an item last week, and when I tabled an item, I was under the impression that it would come back for the next meeting, and I don't see it on this agenda, but I guess for the next meeting, if that is kept in mind, that's all.
Okay, I'll make sure that gets in for next week. I didn't notice that it didn't get in. Sorry about that.
It's okay, I actually don't have anything, even if it was an item, so it's fine.
And
And then David, you were saying something?
I moved the approval of the agenda.
Oh, all right.
gonna ask for one thing.
Mhm.
Can we move advisor reports up so that Dean Cobb can share her report before she has to leave?
Sure. Do we have anything
then-
else?
Is the
In that case, I move approval of the agenda with no other changes.
All right, we have a first by David. Can I get a second?
A second.
All right, second by Louise. I'm gonna go ahead and do it to a roll call vote. Chris?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Louise?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
Jasmine?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Emmanuel?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
All right, motion is approved unanimously. Moving on to approval of minutes of September 30th, 2020. Same as the agenda. If everything looks good and there's nothing that needs to be edited or changed, then I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the minutes of September 30th, 2020.
I don't know if it needs to be in the minutes, but Louise's appointments to her committee aren't in the.
If it didn't get in, I think that means that she didn't send the name of her committee members.
Then there's nothing that needs to be.
Did I just hear myself?
Sorry.
Yes, I did not send that to Francis. Sorry.
All right, it's okay. Then we'll get those names on for the next minutes then. Is there anything else? No? Then on that note, I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve these minutes. Can I get a motion?
Do we technically just want to table these minutes since they were appointed at that specific meeting?
We can. Carrie, do you think we should table it or do we just approve it?
You might want to go ahead and table it since you're going to have to go back and amend your minutes anyway to accurately reflect what happened.
All right, then we'll go ahead and table those minutes. Let me close that tab here. All right, so moving on then, public comment on non-agenda items. I believe we have no members of the public here. Introductions and reports. We'll start off with our advisor reports. So advisors.
Go for it, Dean Cobb.
Oh, wow, you all never, are we there already?
We moved you up so you can leave.
Oh, thank you. So I don't really have that many reports, only because honestly, I've been going to so many meetings and I really need to organize the outcomes of all of those meetings that I've been going to. I mean, because there are things that I need you all to make sure that you're participating in or that we're pulling you into. And so I'm trying to think. We now have protocol for drive-in events. That's one thing. And so you all, the event on Friday is the first test case for that. So we hope it goes well. So we now have a protocol for that, which is helpful. We are still not in a position to bring students onto campus to stay. Like, I know Carrie really wants to have a movie night and folks really want to have a drive-in movie. We're not there yet. And one of the things I can say is, you know, as management association, drive-ins do rock, Carrie. As we met with Dr. Andrew-Jonas on Monday, and I was really trying to assess whether or not where we are in terms of, you know, offering some student services on campus in person, and we're not there yet. I was kind of thinking maybe, you know, around this time, October, end of October, November, we might start trickling in or having some online services on campus, but we're not there in terms of we don't have enough plexiglass placed, put up right now. And so there are some structural things that need to happen. And, you know, she did not rule out some of those things coming back for later in winter or spring. But we'll just have to see where we are in terms of a college. And also she's very cautious about heeding the advice of LA County Health leadership and guidelines. And so one of the things she doesn't want is to bring students and other folks onto campus, you know, for like a month or a couple of weeks, and then disrupt everything and send people back. And so I know that is one of her main concerns. And something else. So we are now in a position because we don't see, the state is now in a position because we don't see assistance from the federal government coming. The college is now in a position where we have to fill, I think it's a $33 million budget gap. That is coming because, as you know, the governor's budget depended a great deal on, what do you call them? Sorry. IOUs kind of, right? from the federal government. And those are not come to fruition. So right now we're looking at that we will have a $33 million gap that we need to fill. And so that will probably be filled in the form of loans of some kind to the district. And just so you know, it's not just us. Every other college is being impacted by this. So that will have a determination of how we move forward, how we are also able to move forward. And so I think you'll get David, and if you all tune into the board meeting, you will probably be getting more information about that. But just to let you know that that's coming, all that means is we're going to have to continue to be creative and innovative in how we serve students and how we continue to support students. And so, that a lot of these meetings that I'm going to and that Carrie's going to are about that. Are about how are we constantly reinventing ourselves to be responsive to students. Yeah, no, Kyle, we're not doing any kind of in-person events. So for one, the county and the city still prohibit large gatherings, mass gatherings, and that's anything over 20 people. So we cannot violate those rules. We are not autonomous unto ourselves or an island. So I think those are the main updates that I have right now. The week after next, because I'm not going to be able to be here next Wednesday. The week after next, I'll have a more comprehensive yet concise advisor report to kind of pull everything together from the meetings I've been in.
All right. Thank you, Dean Cobb. Other advisors, which of you would like to go next?
I can go since I've been putting stuff in the chat. Dean Cobb, before you leave, do you happen to have the COVID testing dates for the campus? I can't find them. If you could throw that link in the chat. Okay, well, welcome everybody. I'm glad and thrilled to see that we have a full board. I'm excited. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's crazy that we are now in week 8. It's getting real. It's getting hard. And now we need to start thinking about our students because, midterms are coming up and finals are going to come up, and that's the same for all of you too. So we need to probably be a little bit more attentive to what's going on with our students in our classes and things like that, and making sure that we're 6 weeks away from when are apps due? Apps are due pretty soon, right? So, oh, hey, thanks, Crystal. Anyway, be really cognizant of that. I know that I am also under a lot of pressure to finish up my schoolwork, and it's hard. I know it's hard for me, so it's got to be really, really stressful for all of you. So just be aware of that. A couple things coming up. Moni Cornichow, she's the dean. She's the director of DS and Becky, help me. I forget what
she's the associate dean of special services.
Okay, I couldn't remember. So she reminded me that there should be another appointee to Health and Safety Commission. Mackenzie, you're on there. But
it's Emmanuel.
It's Emmanuel. Okay, so we need to send that to her.
I just sent it this morning.
Okay, well then there's that. We don't have to worry about it. Mackenzie, I know you're serving on a lot of committees. Now that a lot of your folks are getting committee members, I'd like you to encourage to reach out to your committee members and see if we want to start including any of them on these committees. The difference would be that I would ask that you have them write up maybe just 2 or 3 sentences or half a paragraph about what happens at those meetings that they go, and that you can present them here at these meetings, or you invite them here during this time frame to present their findings under the shared governance position. So just don't have them go to the meetings and not bring anything back. So couple things I put in the chat. First of all, you notice the first thing, the Huntington, Mackenzie, can I share my screen? So the Huntington Gardens, oh dear, I think it is, Holy crap, I can't remember which one it is. Let's try this one. So Huntington Gardens is giving away, oh, that's not it. They're giving away 500 free admissions. So that's kind of a big deal. And so there's a process for that. And I'm trying to find, there we go. Hold on, let me try again. So it's 500 free admissions to the Huntington Gardens. It's a giveaway. It's a really nice opportunity. We'll be sharing this out with the clubs via Lancer Life today. You have to sign up Wednesday or Thursday. It's sustaining gift level membership to all college students. It's kind of a raffle type thing, but it's a great way to be able to get into the Huntington. I know when we used to have the free passes, our students just took advantage of them like gangbusters. So it went out quite a bit. So I did put the link in the chat if you want to share that with anyone that you know. To be able to, yeah, today is Wednesday, so it's got to go out today. I just got it on Tuesday, so to let folks know about that. The other thing is we have received clearance to do the drive up on Friday, and that's kind of a big deal. We are the first official test case. Folks have done this before, but not in any sort of codified manner. So folks are going to be looking at us to make sure we do it right. I've sent Jasmine a list of kind of procedures and policies that we have to do. I believe a lot of you are volunteering. Can you raise your hand if you're volunteering? Although Christina, yours is really scary because you've got all those hands in the back. You're like, that's like a Halloween hot horror. Okay, so if you're going to do this, if you can possibly go get a COVID test, I put the list in the link in there to go find free COVID tests. You could go get a COVID test. I would really appreciate it. If you could do it today, that would be great. If you cannot do a COVID test, all of AS, we have received clearance for you to go get a COVID test. The college does COVID testing, and if you look at Crystal, put something in the chat for everyone. It's Monday, October 26th, 27th, and 28th, and the 31st. Those are free COVID testing times for PCC staff and faculty. But we've received permission to put AS in the mix. The reason why I want you to have a COVID test, either you go there and they'll just do it and it's free, or you go to one of the other sites, I believe it's also free as well. Just do that, because that way then you are cleared to be on campus. Anyone who wants to be on campus for longer than 30 minutes has to have a COVID test. And we're also gonna see if we can get you on the COVID app checker, so you can be cleared to come on campus. So Alex, I know that you're going to do, Alex and Kelly, you want to do the giveaway for the elections. You two are going to have to be tested and cleared. It has to be done every 30 days to be able to remain on campus. So please make sure that you do that. Mackenzie, go get one done. I know anyone who's volunteering to do the giveaway, we do need you to have a cleared COVID test, or at least have gone and taken the test. And then the rest of you, I advise you to get one, so that way you can be on campus to do this. So these are kind of like the new reality that we have to face going forward. So please make sure that you take care of that. And that way, that's a nice thing, because, maybe, we just incremental baby steps. And one day we will be sitting in our cars in lot 3 watching a movie before you know it, okay? So we're all good. This week, I just attended a really great webinar was put on by the Chancellor's Office. Next week is kind of Undocumented Ally Week, which is a week that we celebrate our undocumented students. We talk about what processes we can do and how we can help and outreach to them. So there'll be a bunch of stuff going on, and I'll send some stuff out there. You can go to workshops, but also you all have a great IG feed. So if we can just kind of remember them and look for resources, I'll try and post resources. There'll be plenty around, so that our undocumented students know that they count and that we want them here and we see them and that we are happy to have them and support them. So if you all have IG accounts, let's make sure that we kind of talk about that as well. Health and safety. And like I think I said before in the meeting, I really miss seeing you all. I do. I really miss these Wednesdays, because usually I would sit in my office and write, like at 11, you'd all start funneling in to get ready for the meeting. So, and to honor that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start coming on to this chat at 11 on Wednesdays. and you're welcome just to come in and chat and say hello, ask a quick question. Christina's really great. You know, she just texted me yesterday, say, hey, can we meet? So we're going to meet after this meeting. Feel free to always do that. You can text me. For the new folks, I'll put my cell phone number in the chat, and that is for your use only. Please don't give it to friends. And you can always text me. If I am available, I will answer. If I'm not, I will answer at the next available time. So that usually means, Kelly, when you text me at 9 o'clock at night, I may or may not answer. Chris, you too. So just so you all know. Let's see what else. Anything, let me read the chat really quick. Got test. Yes, you got tested last week, Kelly. That works. Okay, I think that's all I have. Thank you, Jordan.
So I'll be really quick. So this week has been excruciatingly hard for me. I'm finishing up a research paper, and then I have a final due all on Sunday. So this weekend I'm gonna buckle down and do all that, but I will be available if you need anything. I just won't be here. I'm gonna go and distance myself from the city to focus on that and get all that done. I attended the privacy meeting with Carrie and everyone that's in the privacy group and Crystal. We got a lot of work done there. I'm really, really happy we connected with Crystal to sort of give us an understanding of how this privacy survey is going to work, and then how we can best benefit our students. So I'm really, really, really excited for it. It's something that I think we need to all focus on, especially when the survey comes out, at advertising this and using sort of those non-traditional ways to get students aware of it. The second thing I wanted to say is I want to just emphasize how important it is for us individuals in any aspect of our life to do our research before we come to the table. I've been hearing some things just from different people about people coming to committee meetings, not necessarily you specifically, but people giving opinions when they don't know the whole story, or they, instead of coming with an inquisitive mind, they come with a more critical mind, right? And it goes back to sort of us being in the world of education, right? We need to come to the table and educate ourselves and not ask other people to educate us. We need to go out and be willing to do that research and then develop our own opinions about it before we come to the table not knowing anything and then just steamroll over everybody, and then we look stupid in the end when we didn't know everything, right? So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that it is your job, it is your duty for your constituents to do your own research, so that way, or, you know, ask people certain things about data, right? Do your own sort of way to come up with your own informed opinion before going to the table and starting off on somebody, if that makes sense. If you need help with that, you know, all of us, me, Carrie, and Ding Cobb, we're all in school right now doing things where we have to find our own research to make our own arguments. I'm sure you all are as well, but we have some tips and tricks to do that. So please just contact us, let us know. If you don't know who to contact, we'll give you those individuals who we need to contact. But other than that, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that, and it's important. So, but other than that, make sure you all are eating, sleeping, doing all that wonderful stuff, taking time out of your day to do stuff that brings you joy. I've been having a really hard time with that, focusing on this paper, but I've been forcing myself to at least take an hour or two to just chill out. But just please, please, please remember that during this time, okay? And that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. I'm going to go ahead and bring my screen back up real quick. All right. We can go ahead then and move on to our regular board reports. So I'll do it based off who I see first on my screen. And so, Chris, you're up first. Do you have anything you would like to report?
As Jordan stated, and we, as part of the privacy working group, I met with Crystal and the group last Friday to discuss the survey. Crystal told us that she would get back to us after clarifying some questions about what we really want from students. So I think that was a really helpful session that we had. Carrie and I finally worked out a ICC funding procedure for this semester. So I'm about to pull the trigger on this special newsletter I'm going to send out to students, telling them about that. And I'll also be talking about this procedure during Friday's meeting. Unfortunately, this next item, I just want to report and just be honest with everybody. The due date for the ICC training materials came and went, and I wasn't able to produce anything that I really felt was satisfactory to send to students in the Canvas class that we created. So I'm going to have to definitely regroup and talk to the people that are involved in creating these materials about how the next steps that we can do to provide adequate training for ICC. So there's that too. Outside of those three things, not really much else to go over. Yeah, that's it for me.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Up next, we have Louise. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yes. Hold on, sorry, give me 1 second.
No worries, you're good.
Thank you. I hope everyone had a good Indigenous Peoples Day, I think on Monday. And going forward with board reports, I'm working with Veer from Health and Wellness surrounding that event with domestic violence awareness. And then I'm also in communication with the athletic department about Spirit Week, kind of just highlighting athletes, but I'll let you all know more about that when it gets later on. In terms of committee reports, I'm planning to have my first committee meeting next week. I attended the IEC meeting last Friday where we reviewed the French and linguistics programs. And I'll be attending the College Council meeting tomorrow and the Student Service Fund on Friday. And that's it.
All right. Thank you, Louise. Up next, we have Jasmine. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Happy week 8 or week 8. My only board report is we went shopping for the giveaway event that we're having on Friday, which is going to be really exciting. Please don't forget to get your COVID test, as Carrie mentioned. And yeah, I guess I'll be contacting the folks that are volunteering for that day very soon, just so we can organize ourselves. I also attended the privacy working group meeting, and I'm really excited to move that forward as well after Crystal gets back to us. And let's see what else. I feel like I had something else, but welcome to the newest newest board members here, and that's it for my report.
All right. Thank you, Jasmine. Up next, we have Emmanuel. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yes, hello, good afternoon. I would like to report that I attended the Data Symposium Day 1 event this past Friday. I was I think it was from 9:30 all the way to 2 p.m. I skipped out on it during lunch, but definitely was very informative. There was research presented about HSIs and the Abriendo Caminos grant. Also, there was about 90 attendees, faculty, staff, and students. Definitely more faculty and staff, which was good to see. Also, I met up with a swag group, and we were able to find jackets that we would like for the swag, and reached out to an embroidery business to get a quote. I received the quote. Hopefully today, Christina's able to present it to Carrie, and we'll go from there. Also, I'll be attending the calendar committee meeting today. I'll be meeting with Dr. Olivo as well to discuss some of the calendar committee and how it goes. And I will be meeting with Sylvia Talop tomorrow in order to discuss some more on the facilities committee, how we can make PCC more welcoming without patrolling and surveillance. And for committees, I am still interviewing. I have one more interview to do tomorrow, and hopefully I can appoint members by next week. That is all. Thank you.
All right, great. Up next, we have Christina. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Hi, everyone. Happy October. I decided to do my background like this because I'm a bit sad it's not spooky season. But yeah, so I went to the academic senate meeting and we talked about like the grading policies for this year. They were talking about maybe doing pass or no pass due to all the fires and a lot of people taking online classes, but they do need to talk to, I believe, admissions and records about that first. And we also read over the student equity plan and the academic senate's goals. I also attended a lot of meetings regarding the hiring committee for the vice president of instruction, and we developed a screening criteria, and I just got out of a meeting with them as well. And so far it's moving along really well. I also met with the privacy survey group, even though I woke up very late for that meeting, with Crystal Koros about the survey that we would be putting out. So we are waiting for feedback. I also met with the AS SWAT group, and we found a really cool jacket that is really nice, and we're hoping to get that approved for our next meeting. And I also am finishing up interviews for the academic commission. So we have a really great applicant pool, and I'm probably going to be appointing them the next meeting. But that's all.
All right, great. Thank you, Christina. Up next, we have Kyle. Do you have anything you would like to report?
I do. Just a second. So I presented at our voter information day on propositions with Kelly, and also Dean Cobb and Carrie were also out there. There's only 4 individuals, but we recorded the information and that will be published for future use. Kelly and Dean Cobb met at a later time and they discussed when and where we're going to put that out. And Kelly will follow up with exactly what's going to occur on that front. I also met with Chris and the ICC funding committee, and we determined the plan of action for ICC processes for the semester and specifically the funding mechanisms. I met with Alex to discuss the AS podcast. And as we set it up, we're going to be reaching out to faculty, staff, and students and outside entities to attend and contribute to our sessions. And we discussed having an AS episode where each member of the AS comes on and we talk about who we are, what do we want to do, what do we do on AS. So I would really love if you guys would be interested in doing that, because that would allow for us to have one episode completely planned out, essentially, where we're going to be asking questions and having an interview session with everybody. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to me and we're going to hopefully set that up soon. And I also met briefly with the private policy working group. Just like Christina, I woke up late. I slept through 5 different alarms, but the past part that I did see was actually really good and we made great progress. And Crystal Koros is going to review our survey questions and get right back to us. And I also in the last week had all my interviews essentially for Supreme Council. There's 2 more that I'm going to be doing. They're both going to be occurring tomorrow. And I should have the appointees by the 10th or by the 21st.
All right, great. Up next, we have Kelly. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yes, hello everyone, and hello our new members. How exciting. This past week I worked on the voter engagement town hall event, and we didn't have that many attendees, but we recorded it, and that link or either that video will be on our website hopefully, so it can be a source from us AS to all of our students. The second thing that I've been working on is this little poster that I might actually show you guys later, or I can show you now, but it's fine. It's complicated to share the screen. It's essentially all your little faces on this poster. It looks kind of weird, looks like floating heads, but I swear it's kind of cute. And it says that we're 100% registered and we pledge to vote, right? So then we can use this and tag faculty or administration. And once I get that approval, I can also like kind of cut out their faces and make the same poster, and we can kind of circulate it around Instagram. So I think that might be fun. And the next thing that I'm working on, so there's one more thing. Oh yes, my committee. So I'm doing my last interviews tomorrow and should be sending out acceptance letters by Friday. That's it for now. Yeah, thank you.
All right, great.
Alex, I didn't meet up with you.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Up next, we actually have Alex. Do you have anything you would like to report?
So what am I doing this week? Next week, I am planning to have my first committee meeting, which is exciting. I'm in the process of doing ARFs for all the Spirit Week events. I have to do a few forms for that. I'm confirming the order for the Spirit Packs hopefully today. I met with Kyle to discuss podcasts. and I'm going to the calendar committee meeting later today. So yeah.
All right, great. Thank you, Alex. Before I move on to my own report, I actually want to use this opportunity to let our two new board members go ahead and introduce themselves. You can each say name, major, what your position is going to be, and just anything you would like us to know about you. So whoever would like to go first.
Michael, would you like to go first?
Hello, my name is Michael. I'm a business admin major, but when I transfer, I'm switching to economics. My position is going to be vice president of business affairs. And something about me is I love to be outside, and I love campus, and I love being there for the students. I also work as an economics tutor on campus. That's all. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you, Michael.
All right, glad to meet you, Michael. So my full name is Felicius Chong, but just for short, you can call me Philly. I am a psychology major, and I've been involved with PCC for the past 2 years, but I'm still considered a first year. I've had around 5 years of experience in Photoshop, but I've had no experience in any type of student government. So I'm really looking forward to using my past skills and positions in this new one to help make sure that a lot of people are getting the right information in like pretty easy, digestible ways.
All right, great. Well, welcome to both of you. I'll go ahead and move on to my own report then. So I don't have any committee reports because all the meetings I was supposed to have up to this point were canceled or rescheduled. Nobody wanted to meet with me this week, apparently. But besides that, I do have College Council this week with Louise, so that's going to be fun for us to go to. I'm going to meet with David and President Erica's executive team next Monday before the Board of Trustee meeting, so that'll be great to actually get to talk to them about the agenda. Board of Trustee meeting is next week, but I could talk more about that on my next reports. As for any other reports, as you all can see, we chose our final applicants to fulfill the board positions. So we are finally going to be a full board after this week. So I'm so excited to work with the new people. Other than that, that's all the reports that I have today. As you can see, it was pretty short for once. We can go ahead and move on to the next agenda item, which is shared governance discussion. So if anybody has anything they'd like to say. David?
My reports. I haven't reported.
Oh, sorry. David, go.
So I've been meeting with a lot of the Pasadena City College trustees to go over statewide efforts to build toolkits and guidelines to integrate DEI and Vision for Success within a year. So it's been pretty ambitious, and we've been spending a lot of time with that. I also met with some of the CCLC work groups that are centered around mission statements, EEO plans, and diversity hiring practices. And I kind of like mentioned for them to hopefully include student compensation for students that participate in hiring committees. So hopefully that's started to become a discussion that all the trustees around the state are now having. I also wanted to report for the board of directors for SSCCC, Student Senate for California Community Colleges. For they at their board of directors meeting, they had a meeting with ACCJC. And why that's important is because students now have an input in accreditation standards, and so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I just wanted to report that for you.
All right, thank you, David. Sorry, I didn't realize I missed you. Everyone's screens kept moving around. Did I miss anybody else? Just make sure I didn't miss anyone. No? Okay, now we can go ahead and move on with the agenda to agenda item 4, shared governance discussion. So this is the time where if anybody mentions something in their reports that they would like to comment or question on, or if they had something that they wanted to discuss further that they heard in their shared governance meeting, now is the time that they can say so. So if anyone has something to say, I'll give you all a moment to go ahead and unmute yourselves. All right. Well, hearing no discussion, we can go ahead and move on then to the next agenda item. So we have action item A, appointment of VP of Public Relations. Philly, did you get the email from Carrie for swearing?
I will check right now, but I don't think I have yet.
Oh, okay. I'll resend it to you right now, but it's basically, just gonna go ahead and explain it for both you and Michael right now. So it's a sheet of paper that has a description. It's just fill in the blank, you put in your name, and you're swearing. So you'll say I, your name, and then have been duly appointed to, whatever the position is. You'll read off of the first paragraph, and then myself and Carrie will read off of the second paragraph, and you'll be officially sworn in. Carrie, am I missing anything for this? Oh, you're muted.
She'll tell you, no, you've got it all. I just resent it again. Hopefully you'll get it. If not, Michael, if you have it, we can do Michael first. You just have to reorder. Oops.
Oh, all right. So Michael, do you want to go ahead and start with you then?
Yeah, we can start with me. So I just start right now.
Yep.
I, Michael Garcia, having been duly appointed to the office of Vice President of Business Affairs at PCC of the Associate Students of Pasadena City College, do hereby commit to responsibility and dutifully carry out the functions of my position and hold the Constitution, bylaws, standing rules, resolutions, and official actions of the Associated Students of Pasadena City College.
And I, Mackenzie Rivera, as president of the Associated Students. Oh, Carrie, you're muted.
And I, Carrie Fuso, as advisor to the Associated Students. And Mackenzie, you get to read the rest.
Yep. Do hereby recognize the appointments results and welcome you, Michael Garcia, to the ASPCC Executive Board for the specified term with all the authority and responsibility appertaining and commensurate with your position. Congratulations. You're officially on the board now.
Mackenzie, I also realized this is an action item.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is something you're making the appointment. And Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, if she's making the appointment, does it need to be approved by anybody? Do they need to vote on it?
Yes, appointments are voted on by the executive board.
Okay, so we've just sworn him in. We jumped the gun. Someone make a motion.
Since VP of Public Relations is first, I'll move to appoint Felicia Chung to the position of Vice President for Public Relations.
You can do both at the same time. Or do you want to take them one at a time because of the agenda?
Or for the agenda, we can do one at a time.
I think because they're separated, that you have to do them separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Second by Kyle. All right. I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a vote then. Chris?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Let me just go back up, make sure I don't miss anyone this time. Louise?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
Jasmine?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Emmanuel?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries unanimously. So, all right. So, Billy, we're all good on yours. We're going to have to do your swear in. All right. Carrie, should I just jump to his swear in now or should we go back and finish Michael? Since we already went out of order.
We're out of order, so.
All right. You know what?
you need to swear in one and you need to approve one. So
Yeah.
whichever you would like to get done first.
All right, Philly, since we're on you right now, we'll go ahead and do your swear in. Do you have the document?
Yes, I have it up right in front of me.
All right, then we can go ahead and get started whenever you're ready.
Okay. I, Felicia Chong, having been duly appointed to the office of Vice President of Public Relations of the Associated Students of Pasadena City College, do hereby promise to responsibly and dutifully carry out the functions of my position and uphold the Constitution, bylaws, standing rules, resolutions, and official actions of the Associated Students of Pasadena City College.
And I, Mackenzie Rivera, as president of the Associated Students,
And I, Carrie Fuso, as advisor to the Associated Students.
do hereby recognize the appointment results and welcome you, Felicia Chong, to the ASPCC Executive Board for the specified term with all the authority and responsibility attaining to and commensurate with your position. Congratulations. So you're officially on the board now. Congratulations.
You're welcome.
All right. Now we're going to backtrack and go back to Michael. All right. Then I'd like to entertain a motion to approve this appointment. Can I get a motion? Don't everyone jump all at once.
I
I
motion.
move to appoint Michael Garcia to the Vice President of Business.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a first by David, second by Kyle. We're going to go ahead and go back to a vote. Sorry, guys. I have to bring this up every time to make sure I don't miss you guys. All right. Chris.
Aye.
Christina.
Aye.
Louise.
Aye.
Alex.
Aye.
Jasmine.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Emmanuel.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Congratulations. We now have a full board, everybody. So much excitement. All right, so we can go ahead and move on with the agenda. So we're up at discussion items. Discussion item A, quality focus essay brought to us by Crystal Cole-Ross. Crystal, the floor is yours.
All right, caught me off guard there. Thought you guys were going to talk a little longer. Can I just say you have mentioned my name way too often in this meeting today. I know I should be flattered, but
We just love you so much.
oh, you're so sweet. So I'm assuming the quality focus essay, the ones you got today, was the one on collegiality and communication. Is that correct?
Yes, I have these ones here. Hold on. Let me move my screen.
All
I have
right.
this
so-
one and I have this one.
Okay, that I think we already did the addressing the needs of our part-time student. I think we're on this one. Is that correct? Does any tell me if I'm wrong? I can talk to both of them.
I believe this is the one we were on. This is the one that I got from Thea.
Okay, great. So yeah, so the idea behind this one was that in order to provide a learning environment where students can thrive, I think we felt it's really important that this college focuses itself on collegiality and communication in all of our actions. And so we kind of did a little background here and to kind of show you what we've been cited for in the past in our accreditation visits. That's what the first section is. And then we talk about how we updated the mission and we talk about participatory governance. And even though we've made improvements, we still are not engaging enough voices across the campus in that process. And so that's really what this QFE is about. It's figuring out ways for us to get together and put in place a process that we engage voices across the campus in our decision-making processes, which is really shared governance. So that's what we tried to outline in here. Any questions?
Doesn't look like we have any.
You can think about it.
think we
'cause
have
they're coming back. I mean, you don't have to ask them right now. I just
Mhm.
put it out there. I just wanted to say that, you know, you could see we looked at some things like student success in college by Koo, Kesey, and Shu and Witt, and you know that idea of collaboration in a higher education environment is so important to us facilitating students being successful. And I'm not so sure, and that goes for me as well, that we do as good a job at it as I believe we could. So we wanted to really take this opportunity to say, yep, we know we need to improve because accreditation is all about improvement. And here's an area that we'd really like to work on.
So for this item, is there anything specific else that you would like from us on this?
Well, I would certainly like to have you take a look at it and read it and ask us any questions, or if you know, particularly if you go down a little farther, we have some action items in here. I'd love you to look at the action items and see if you think there are other things we could include there. Proposed actions, there you go. We've got some, I don't know if we have enough, but I'd love you to look at that and see if, you know, you could think of a way we could be more inclusive of students in our action items, because we'd be all over that.
All right. Does anybody have any comments, questions, concerns, anything for Crystal? Do people just need more time to read this too?
Yeah, do you mind forwarding that to us?
Yep. It should be. It should have been sent. I'll resend it right now. I thought I sent it out. While I do that, does anybody have anything else that they would like to add to this?
Mackenzie,
Yes.
question for Crystal. When do we need to give a response by?
Well, we'd like to have it in the next couple of weeks if that's possible. A couple of things I probably should talk about. We are not, I don't know how to say this, there's not a good word. We are not judged by our peer review team on the quality or content of the QFE. They're just going to look to see that we outlined something and brought something forward as something we wanted to focus. They will comment on it, but I think sometimes we've been confused about the difference between having to reach a standard or comply with a standard, and then the quality focus essay, which is a new process for us. So there's not a standard on this, but as you can see in the past, they've cited us for it, even though it wasn't a standard.
Yeah.
And so we don't, like a lot of people say, well, you don't have enough evidence. We don't really need evidence because it's not a research paper and it's not us explaining how we meet the standard. It's about us talking about a problem that we've identified on this campus, regardless of the standards, that we feel we need to address that will make us a better institution for students.
Okay.
Does that help? No, that doesn't help. But
It is. I was just wondering if maybe they want AS wants to take a week to read this and just have a deadline to send any recommendations or comments to you.
That's up to you guys. We have some time, so.
We have about 8 minutes until Thea comes in. So if anybody has anything else that they would like to say on this, you can go ahead and say so.
Well,
Also,
I
sending right
actually
now
think
too.
Thea was supposed to do this, and I was supposed to do the next agenda item. So I think, unless I'm wrong, is the privacy survey mine or Thea's? Because you could talk to her about it too. It's fine.
If you want to get it started, you can. When I was emailing Thea, she put it under her name, but since she's running a little bit late, you could go ahead and get it started.
I don't know what Thea was going to talk to you about that, but I know that I talked to your privacy committee last week, and this always seems to be the way my life works. Is somebody brings a problem to me, and enlighten me, which is what you folks did on Friday, and then Monday morning I get, and I don't know how this happens, but I got like 3 different articles that came into my inbox on Proctorio and privacy for students in the Zoom environment. I was like, okay, timely. It's not just us. Good to know. So I've been reading through those. Not that I thought it was just us. And I did work on the survey over the weekend. I think I'm probably about halfway through thinking it through, but I'm also using these articles to help me think about how to develop other questions so we can really get to the heart of this. And also, I like it to be that when we're done, we have some really good working knowledge, because I talked to Erica, Dr. Andrew-Jonas, about it, and she was totally on board. And, the importance of us being able to convey to faculty what things might be of concern to students when it comes to privacy issues, particularly, Zoom and then Proctorio. And you guys enlightened me about Proctorio, and I've also been reading up on it and totally get it. So I'm going to work through that survey. Do I need to talk for another 5 minutes till Thea gets here? Just kidding. Do you have any questions for me on that? I have not abandoned you. I worked on it on Sunday, and then I got those articles Monday morning, and that just made me rethink some things. So it's always good to reflect.
Also, Crystal, I believe we have a comment in the chat for you.
My comment. First paragraph, such a system could also have a positive impact on student success measures. Should this be made a more concrete statement? Can I see that where you're seeing that?
The second to last sentence in the first paragraph.
Okay, such a system. Oh, yeah. You are right, Kyle. Let me just grab your comment there, and Thea and I can fix that. Because that's what Thea and I do. We fix things. Okay, we got that one.
All right. Did everybody get it in their emails? It should have been sent to everybody. All right. Do we have any other comments, questions, concerns, anything we'd like to say to Crystal while we have her here with us?
Well, I tend to come back a lot, so
yeah.
That's plenty of time. And I have, remarkably, I am in meetings with a lot of you folks, which is just awesome. So that's good.
We just love having you around so much.
Oh, you're pretty funny there. Okay. I got Kyle's, so we'll work on fixing that. Thank you for that, Kyle. We missed that. All right, anything else you want to know about the privacy survey, or if you guys hear anything or can think of anything, please feel free to email me any suggestions you have. So I am totally open to that. I think I'm about halfway through. And I wanted to say to Chris, I've been using your little flow chart, and first of all, I'm very impressed that you understand surveys in the context of flow charts. I should have mentioned that to you before, so beautiful. And I've been using that and following your train of thought, so thanks for the flow chart too.
Chris loves flowcharts.
She does love flowcharts.
He keeps us all on track with them.
Okay, I'll just sit here quietly for a few minutes while you guys think.
Mackenzie, you're going to lose a couple people, or if they have already left, because the calendar committee's starting in 3 minutes.
Oops. All right. So at least now that we have more people, we'll be fine on quorum. All right. How many of you are going to be leaving for calendar committee? I believe it's 3 people. We have Alex, Emmanuel, and then Christina. Were you going to stay for this one, or were you going to calendar? Because I know she's been missing all of our meetings, so she wants to stay for at least one meeting since we had a lot we were going to discuss.
I think I'll stay. If anything happens, you could just message me and I could hop off.
Yeah, believe me, having 3 of you there is 2 more than we've normally had, so that's fantastic.
Yep. All right, and then, we'll get to this later. But Michael and Philly, soon we're going to be appointing you two to some committees. Now that we've got you on board, we can start sending you places.
That was such an evil laugh I gave.
All right. Thanks for staying this long, Alex, Emmanuel. Hope the meeting goes good for you guys. See, we finally have everybody and we still get short on quorum. We always have less people. And then, Carrie, have we heard any update if Dr. Olivo is going to come today? Because she's right after Thea, but her and Thea both aren't here, so.
I'm going to guess, so if Thea was supposed to talk about, what was she supposed to talk about?
She was going to talk about a student survey. So I don't think it was a privacy one. I think she wanted to do another student survey and wanted AS feedback on that.
Okay, so Crystal can't cover that. So I think,
yeah.
I don't think Dr. Olivo was coming because I don't think she realized she was double booked. If she is, she might come in like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Because
she's also a part of the calendar committee.
Oh, so yeah, she's not gonna come.
Probably not coming in.
Okay, I'll expect her for next week then. I moved Stephanie coming to next week because I was like, wow, we had 3 guests today. We had 1.
We have a lot of folks.
All right. So as y'all can see, we're a little bit off with our agenda today, but that's all right. We're making it work.
If you wanted to practice parliamentary procedure, you all could practice reordering your agenda of the day and going to Prop 16.
I have a suggestion for our future agendas. Similarly to how Student Senate does theirs, we implement time certains on certain agenda items where we have guest speakers. So there'll be a certain time that's allotted to that agenda item. So like, say our guest speaker is supposed to come at 1 p.m. That agenda item is for 1 p.m. regardless of where we are at the agenda. So that would be something that might be useful.
But like, how would we use it in times like now when they're not?
And they don't come.
Or they're late.
I mean, just in the future, like when we've had guests and we've had to have guests on the call for hours at a time. I mean, like once they arrive, we can schedule them at a specific time.
Yeah, that does actually help.
Mm-hmm. So mentally, I did have it mapped out that way because I was like, great, Thea's going to be here around 1. Student survey, what's it called? Our reports usually go on to like 12:30, 12:45. So I was like, great, that gives Crystal about 10, 15 minutes to talk. So in my mind, it was mapped out like that. And I was like, great, Dr. Olivo, she can go right after. But we had off scheduling today. And so the idea was there. It just didn't work out today. Sorry, did we have anyone who wanted to say something? I thought I saw a hand as I was rambling. Am I hearing a fire alarm?
We need to do, I think, especially for PR, we're going to have to give them the credentials to all the social media and logins and stuff.
maybe we'll get it today.
Oh, all right. Sorry, I see that was Jordan. So, David, do we want to just go ahead and move on to your item then, since it looks like our guests may not be coming?
Sure.
All right, the floor is yours then.
Alrighty, so last week I did mention that I wanted us to talk about Prop 16 and talk about maybe approving a resolution in support of Prop 16. And hopefully that will put pressure on our district board so that they can do the same, because it has been an issue for the past couple of months. Let me just pull it up real quick.
Oh, do you want me to stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, please.
Mm-hmm. You should be good.
Don't know where I put it, to be honest. Oh wait, it's a Word document, never mind. Okay. Okay, so here's the resolution, the draft. So I'll just read it out. Whereas Prop 16 would repeal Proposition 209, a constitutional amendment passed in 1996, banning the use of affirmative action at public institution, whereas Prop 16 would allow a community college students' race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin to be narrowly weighed in admissions decisions and transferring to a CSC or UC, allowing students who experience unique hurdles and challenges to be given additional preference. Whereas 44% of California community college students are Latino, 27% are white, 14% are Asian Pacific Islander, and 6% are Black, while 61% of tenured faculty are white, 15% are Latino, 10% are Asian, and 6% are Black, whereas repealing Proposition 209 would enable public institutions of higher education to hire more diverse faculty, staff, and administration reflective of student body enrollment, ultimately creating a more culturally and racially sensitive environment for learning. Resolved that the Associated Students of Pasadena City College supports Proposition 16 and urges other constituency governing groups of Pasadena City College to pass resolutions in support of Prop 16. But yeah, this is something that the Student Senate has also been urging for other ASOs to do in their own districts, just statewide, get that support across districts. There are many districts that have already passed this sort of resolution. CCLC, the Community College League of California, it's the board of all the trustees and all the CEOs for all the districts. They have already publicly supported Prop 16. The governor has supported Prop 16. I mean, it's just like little groups of people that haven't already done this. So, you know, it looks bad on our district to not have done this already. So I think if we just give them this little push, that's good. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I just want to say that, like, because if we don't approve of it, it's kind of like, why aren't they approving of it? You know, why haven't they released a statement? Because it's such a big deal and so many students are working on this, especially in the Student Senate. So I feel like I just want to add on to Davis that there's an urgency to approve of this.
Do we have any other comments, questions, anything for David? Overall, would you agree to approve this, or how are y'all feeling on this? Thumbs up, thumbs down, middle.
I think I mean, it's good to have some discussion about it. Obviously, there's like, you know, like there's people that have, you know, their arguments against it, right? So if there's any like questions that you guys have, it's not like we're like forcing this on you guys. Yeah.
I mean, I personally saw this on my ballot and I'm like, I was kind of like conflicted, but you know, because some people are going to argue that it should be merit-based, but as I understand it, especially from the statistics that are shown here, there's definitely a disproportionate representation in terms of race in our education system. So I don't know. I mean, again, that was just me though. I don't know if anyone else had the same kind of dilemma.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to address that for sure, but also to look at the system that we exist in right now. That's not based on merit. It's not a meritocracy. The system that we are right now, students are judged based off their privilege and based off the resources that they've been given their entire lives. You know,
Right.
this is a systemic issue. And
Yeah,
this is intended to rectify that.
So yeah, I mean, as a person of Asian descent, I experienced a lot of like having to do a lot of extracurriculars and blah blah blah. And I'm just thinking about all of these other students who don't have the same funds or opportunities. So I don't know. I personally voted yes on this, so I would approve it. I don't know if anyone else has another perspective, but that's why I voted yes, if anyone wants to hear me out.
And then Jordan, you had your hand up first.
Yeah, so just really quick brief history on affirmative action. So when it was first implemented, the people didn't know how to, colleges and places that based their decisions off of, like you said, like a merit-based type thing. When this was implemented, they didn't know how to handle it. And so what they would do is they started to create quotas to, oh, okay, well, we need this amount of African-American and Black students. We need this amount of Asian Americans. Well, the Supreme Court shut that down and said, no, you don't need a quota. However, what this is going to do and what this proposition is saying is that, so because that was shot down, but because there are certain things that are present, like racism and things like, take, for example, all these Hollywood stars getting their daughters and their sons into school by paying people off to get them into school, right? That is a lack of affirmative action in the way that it is supposed to address these inequalities within our society. So this is saying that it's going to implement all of that back in there, right? Like it's going to require schools and require colleges like, USC or UCLA to encourage people of color to transfer there and encourage them to take race and ethnicity and all of those things that disadvantage them in society, to take those into account, right? And so I think it's really important to do that. And I think you should all put it on the agenda to approve next week.
Okay, I'll introduce an alternative opinion. It's that when you vote yes on this provision, you're allowing the government to have more say in who gets into a specific college. So that would allow politicians to have more of a say in the processes. So whether or not this is a bad or a good proposition, it opens the door to future policies that change the admission requirements to colleges. So I would personally, and I am personally voting no on this in the general election because it opens the door up to future aggressive policies. And anyone who disagrees with me, we can have a conversation about that, but it sets a precedent, which I do not stand for, especially the widening of government control on who gets into colleges. So that's an alternative opinion to take into account when we are voting on this, possibly at the next meeting.
So just to differentiate, this isn't a policy that applies to all colleges. This is a policy that applies to the colleges that are paid for by taxpayers. And so I'm just going to recommend that we put this on the agenda next week for approval. But we can move on if you'd like.
Kenzie?
Yes, Carrie?
Just a couple other thoughts. So just so you know, this policy has already been, I believe, accepted by the CSUs in terms of their perspective. So this is something that they agree with. And just so you understand how our system came to be, our system of the community college was really meant and established. Higher education on the whole was never meant for folks like us. It was really meant to be for entitled landowners, the male sons of landowners, entitled landowners, to be able to get an education. And then the community college came out as a system that was a way so that folks could get 2 years before they went away to the big college. So this system was never established to support students of color. So like David said, now you're looking at a system that favors and values things that don't necessarily have the best outcome. And the Supreme Court has argued this back and forth about the value of having a diverse community. They have clearly struck down quotas. They say now that race may be a factor considered in admissions, but it doesn't necessarily force it. So this allows folks to be able to look at that. Now, what does that mean practically? when you look at California, since we've lost the ability 20 years ago, I think it was, to be able to look at race as a part of admissions, we have seen the number of African American and Latinx students drop. So this is something that most of higher education agrees is important, and folks look at it as a way of changing the system. It's a fix to the system, and it doesn't totally fix it, but it says, hey, this is an option because it's looking at the reality. When we talk about what's important, the Supreme Court has said many times under the 14th Amendment, saying when they talked about educating undocumented students, they said the key to a democratic society is an educated populace. So if we want to continue to build and be farsighted and not be short-sighted, we need to make sure that our entire populace is educated. And by allowing more folks into the college system, the better we have, the better outcome and the stronger community and the more democratic community that we have.
All right. Thank you, Carrie. And Philly, I notice you have your hand up.
All right, so just to recognize the amount of time spent on this discussion item, I'd like to add, similar to Kyle, a more overarching type of view. And when I was looking at the proposition on my ballot as well, I did my own research on it, and I found that as for public opinion, the UC Berkeley Institute of Governmental Studies sent out a poll, and they found that 33% of people supported this proposition, while 41% opposed this. And 26% are still undivided. And I may be newly elected, but as someone with experience in public relations, if we do pass this, we have a chance to shift any opinion on those who are still undecided on whether or not to vote for this. So I just like to put that into consideration.
All right. Thank you, Philly. Do we have any other comments, questions, concerns, or anything on this item before we decide if we'd like to bring it back next week?
Yes, and also to add on to what Philly said, Pasadena, even though as face value, they like to present themselves as a very progressive community, it's very conservative. And so Prop 16 isn't doing very great in the ballots in Pasadena. And that's why I've been urging our district to support this resolution. And that's why I'm assuming that's why they're also very reluctant to.
Any other? Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. I was just going to ask if anyone has something to say.
No, I was just saying, like, for those that support this proposition, we probably won't be getting a lot of, as David said, response from like faculty. So this is probably the only way to really push out like an institutional message of support. Yeah.
Anything else?
I mean, it sounds like we're pretty kind of on the fence about it as AS. So moving forward with a complete resolution, I just want to make sure that everyone is okay with that, even if they are personally voting no or voting like, or not sure, not really sure.
Yeah, because I just want to also mention one thing. There's no, I mean, about this, for all the great positives it brings, there's no exact structure, I guess, to how they would be implementing affirmative action. So that's also something to think about. You know, how are they going to go through this, and how are they actually going to determine which people are more disadvantaged than other people? That's also something just to think about.
There's a lot of court precedent on this. Fisher, Michigan, Fisher v. Texas, Michigan. It's been adjudicated at very high levels, and it's very, very narrow on what can be done. So there's probably a lot of guidance from that.
Yeah, for sure. Just the bill that doesn't have a lot of guidance, but I'm sure like the process after it gets implemented, the colleges have their own way of determining that. But just the bill in particular. But yes, Carrie, thank you.
All right. So hearing that we have a lot of back and forth going on this, is it something that you all think we should bring back to next week, or do we need to bring it back at another time, or what's everyone's stance on this?
I would like to have this at our next agenda, just because the Board of Trustees meeting is that later evening, so that I could present a decision that we made.
All right.
To the trustees.
Does anybody have anything else that they would like to add to this before we move on?
Well, and keep in mind, you only have 2 meetings before voting officially ends. So
that too.
Yeah, you might, yeah.
Yeah, I think in terms of expediency, I think it would be good to have it on next week's agenda. Everyone can kind of come to a consensus.
So I guess hearing that, we can just go ahead and bring it back next week. We do have our guests with us today, so we can go ahead and just move on with the agenda. But if anybody else has any other comments, questions, concerns, anything last minute before I move on? No? All right, let me just go ahead and bring back the agenda. And now we can go back to our student survey brought to us by Thea Alvarado. The floor is yours now.
Thank you. So everyone's received a copy of our proposal for the student survey. Is that correct, Mackenzie?
Alicia, I have whatever was sent to us. So I have the QFEs. These were all that I had sent to me.
Okay, so is it possible for me to screen share then?
Yep, I'll stop sharing my screen.
Okay. Sorry, give me just a moment.
No worries, you're good.
Okay, thanks.
I always fumble with Zoom and I do this every week.
I'm right there with you. Okay, are you able to see it now?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, so we have a need to revise our faculty survey, and this is the survey that you all take when a faculty member is up for evaluation. Our old one, if you've ever taken it, was not great. It had questions that were biased. It had questions that the instructor had no control over. It had questions that didn't give us any useful information. And so we decided to scrap it and start an all new one. And so there's a task force, and it's myself, it's Stephanie Fleming, it's Jeff Winter, and it's Kimberly Shediak. And so we are working on revising this. So what you'll see is a series of statements. The first 9 of them are about the course, and then the next ones are about the instructor. And then there are some open-ended questions where we would hope to have a written response, and you could respond however you wanted to. Because of our new contract, surveys are now going to be entirely online. So this semester, if you've received a form for evaluation or request for evaluation, right now it's online because all of our classes are online. In the future, when we go back to having some face-to-face classes, it will still be online and it will be advertised through Canvas. And we've been talking about potentially having a department chairperson or division chairperson come to a class where an evaluation needs to be done and bring electronic devices if the students themselves don't have them. And sorry, my battery's dying, so I'm going to go plug in. I hope I don't give you motion sickness. So the division chairperson would bring in this this laptop cart and would hand out electronic devices so that everybody would get the chance to be able to take these surveys. So during these meetings, as we were developing these questions, oftentimes we were asking ourselves, well, how would a student understand this? And so what we're hoping is, instead of trying to figure out how you would understand it, to actually get your feedback for how you would understand it. So I can come back to another meeting if you'd like to offer additional information, but basically I just want to know whether you think these questions are clear, whether you think they address what they need to, and then we also need one more question about the instructor.
All right, does anybody have any comments for Thea on this? Anything at all? Well, I'd just like to say, from the questions that I see so far, everything seems clear to me, simple to answer. I think students can understand everything well so that they can go ahead and answer this. Overall, I like what you have right now. I don't know if anybody else has anything they'd like to add on this.
About the question about the instructor, maybe we want to add a question of whether the instructor made accommodations to the student, if they ever had any.
I think also maybe how well the instructor provided extra resources for students, like utilizing tutoring centers or something like that, because I think that's something students want insight into.
Anybody have any
And
other?
about the questions about the course, do we want to maybe on question 1, maybe be more specific as it pertains to Canvas and how instructors are utilizing Canvas to organize their content?
So the only concern about that is that instructors aren't required to use Canvas. I love Canvas. I use it in all my classes, whether they're online or face-to-face, but instructors aren't required to, and we can't require them to do it. So we were hoping that because this form is going to be for both online and face-to-face classes, we were hoping that it'd be general enough about it being organized that you could apply that to whether it's face-to-face or online.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have an off-topic question. So faculty aren't required to use Canvas. How are they supposed to get information out to people?
So we have access to students' email addresses through Lancer Point. And so some instructors who are a little more old school will just email whatever information they need out to their students. And on the very extreme part of that, there are some instructors that just rely on the time that they have face-to-face to communicate information to students.
That is amazing.
It is. We are moving in a new direction, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
Does anybody have anything else for this item while we're here? Sorry, I'm trying to close my tabs so I can cool down my computer at the same time. So I'm going back and forth.
Do we have a timeline as to when the survey would be sent out?
Well, so this semester, I think it's probably
for courses.
It's too late for this semester. I think any instructors who are getting evaluated for a certain semester, we want to use the same survey for all of them. But ASAP, hopefully we could get this out in time for spring. Many more faculty are evaluated in the fall than are evaluated in the spring. And because of the pandemic and because we've been pushed to online or remote instruction, there are a number of faculty members who are opting out of getting evaluated this semester, and instead they're going to do it in the spring or potentially the following fall. So that's the long answer. The short answer is ASAP. Were there any suggestions about the instructor question?
I kind of want to add that because we're online, a lot of instructors have fully switched over to a synchronous or a non-synchronous basis. Therefore, there's a difference between the two. But based on what kind of course their class is going to have, it would kind of change their response to that question. And it might kind of skew the results in a certain direction based on the basis of the course. Would it be useful information to have a question regarding whether or not it's a synchronous or an unsynchronous course or non-synchronous course?
So that's a good question. We're trying not to ask questions that we can pull the data from ourselves. So we would know based on what section is being evaluated, whether it was synchronous or asynchronous or online or face-to-face or hybrid. That's information that we would have without bothering you guys with another question.
Right. Does anybody have any other comments, questions, or concerns while we have Thea here with us? And sorry, I think you guys might be able to hear my fan going in the back.
All right, well, if you have any other comments, we've got a little bit of time still that we're going to be working on this. We're going to bring it in front of the Academic Senate, of course, and get the faculty's opinion on it as well. But if you can think of any other questions, and Mackenzie, I'll go ahead and email this to you right now so that you can send it out. Keep in mind that this is still just a draft, so it could change in so many different ways. But if you have any other feedback or comments, anything that you think of later or just in your discussions with other students, my email address is tsalvarado@pasadena.edu. So please feel free to email me. I'm really good about responding by email. So.
All right. And then if we have any comments for you, when would you like them by?
Hopefully sooner rather than later. I want to say that it'll probably be at least another 3 weeks before we finalize the survey.
Okay. I will make sure that this document gets to everybody.
All right. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you for coming. I need to share my screen with the agenda. All right, so I think we've pretty much covered everything. Hold on. The chat box got in my way. All right, so let's see. So we've pretty much gone through everything. Next, we have invited guests, which we have none. AS training. Carrie, do we have anything we would like to cover?
You do. I'm going to make you go through AS training mainly because I need you to be familiar with how you pay for things because time is coming up. So time's coming up that we're paying for things now. So I'll go really briefly through the steps that we established that I showed advisors. Pretty much same for you. Mackenzie, I have to ask you if anyone AS remembers, did we do a motion? Did we agree to fund the OnePass?
OnePass. For that one, this was back in the beginning when we still had our separate budgets. You asked if you could pull it from mine, and I told you yes. But this was before we decided to do categories.
Okay.
But because it was under the limit, we were doing it off agenda.
Okay, so it hasn't been taken to AS then, right?
No.
Okay, so I will bring that up. We'll talk about, I'll use that as an example, only because it's actually like $650 and that's been sent to my credit card for a month and I need to get that paid. So if I could share my screen.
Yep, I'll stop sharing mine.
I'll run through very quickly the PowerPoint. I think this is it. Okay.
They love these PowerPoints.
I'm glad. I'll try and make it quick. So this is the thing. Stop me if you all have questions, okay? Especially new folks. So what I did was, this is the part of what I showed advisors. We pretty much have finalized the whole money issue. I think we've gotten the contract is almost ready to be done. We know what the steps are for the requisitions. So now's the time to make sure you all understand this because you're about to embark on this. And I believe it's Michael, you're the VP for business. We're gonna have to meet to tell you what's been going on. Basically, we're shifting from an older format to now a new format at the request of our college auditors. So we're doing this to keep ourselves in check. So the big thing is you all have to pay for things. Just some new rules. You have to allow extra time. In the past, for those of you that remember the good old days when we could turn around a check in 24 hours, those are gone. That's gone. It's not coming back. So put that out of your head. For now, I think we're now thinking most of this is going to be a 2-week or more process. So be prepared for that, especially if you need to get money. I'm still waiting on reimbursements from supplies I bought for our first AS training meeting in June. So just to give you an idea how long things take here. So first of all reimbursements must have the original receipt, no ifs, ands, or buts, and you need to keep it because what's going to happen is they're going to take a picture of it. You're going to take a picture, you're going to scan it, and our auditors find that that's okay, but our student business services don't trust that. So they may call on you at any time to give them the original receipt. They wanted the original receipts, but I challenged them on that because they're closed, they're not open. How are we supposed to get them the original receipts, especially also because students are not allowed on campus? So hold on to the original receipts. It's okay turning in an electronic copy or scanned copy, but you must hold on to the original ones because we could call you on you at any time this fiscal year for those receipts. All of your expenditures must be backed up by your minutes. So like we just did, when did we approve? Oh, last week we approved $5,000 coming from a homecoming budget. So that's the type of minutes that need to be approved. Basically, the auditor needs to see that the group as a whole has approved this option. We are still doing handwritten requisitions. We hope to be able to move soon to more, something that's fill-inable. But they must be signed electronically by your advisor, which is me, usually your president, which is Mackenzie, or your treasurer, which is Michael. So it needs to have one of those two things. And then they go on. Your money travels from, the way it travels is it goes from Mackenzie or Michael, or you, whoever originates it, to your officers. Then it goes to Ms. Sharon. Ms. Sharon gives it to me, and then it travels on to either Dr. Bush or the Student Business Services. Because, wait, Bush or sorry, Blazinski, not Bush. So it travels. All checks will be mailed, so we're not having any sort of contact, okay? So kind of the way this should go is Michael, once he's familiar, will start running and keeping the books. You want to make sure that there's enough money in whatever account that you want. This obviously was set up for ICC. Folks need to contact trust and agency or student business for their trust and agency accounts. Someone unmute themselves and tell me, who do you check, who do you call, or who do you check with to find the balance of your accounts?
You?
Close. Who else? Who sits in the office next to me?
Oh, Miss Sharon.
Yeah. Miss Sharon's going to keep your books. So if you ever have any concerns that Michael can't answer, once he's onboarded, we will get him up to speed and make sure we have that. So, but until then, Miss Sharon will always know what your balances are. So then you need to complete an activity request form for all your events. Jasmine, do an activity request form for Friday. And all of your expenditures must be approved at a regularly scheduled club meeting or a regularly scheduled AS meeting, okay? If there's contracts, you're gonna have to contact Ms. Sharon because there's a contract form that needs to happen. Post the event, allow 2 to 4 weeks for all your stuff to be processed. So if you're paying out of your pocket, allow 2 to 4 weeks to be reimbursed. It is possible to ask for a cash advance, and that is $300, but don't forget, you're gonna have to plan in advance. So if Alex were here and he wanted $300 cash advance to go buy snacks to give out for the debate watching party, or Kelly wants to do that, that paperwork would have to be in now so that we could have the check in time in 2 weeks to be able to go purchase that. So please make sure you allow plenty of time. So this is just kind of a flow chart, again, so you can figure out where you're gonna go. You gotta vote to make sure that you approve this event. You need to request if you're doing a direct payment from a vendor. So if you're direct paying someone like Fort Imprint, or direct paying someone who you bought masks from, for instance, Pasadena Promos, you're gonna have to request a W-9, and that's just simply a tax form. You're gonna have to also request an invoice. An invoice needs to be complete, including their address and the total amount of what it says. It cannot say quote, it must say invoice. You're going to complete a requisition form. And for those of you that are new, you'll become, these are your best friends. These are requisition forms. Basically, it's like writing a check. You'll have to do that. And that's what we mean by signatures. Who has to sign that? Once you complete that form, we'll scan it. There's actually a scanned copy that you have access to. You fill it in, it's fillable PDF, or you can print it, handwrite it, and take a picture of it, and then forward it on, and we get the signatures. You must submit all the paperwork at the same time with the requisition. So that means you have to submit the minutes. This is considered backup document. The minutes with the approval. So the minutes need to say who motioned, who seconded, and what the vote was. And you need to have the W-9, which is the tax information. You must have the invoice from the company along with the requisition. All of that goes to OSL. Now, again, what is our total? Someone unmute themselves and shout out the answer. So tell me, what's the total amount if it is over a certain amount must go to the Board of Trustees?
3,000 on your slides.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for reading my slide. Yeah, anything over $3,000. So that becomes important because if you want to do a large scale event, this means we really need to practice and we need to plan. And I really am telling you to do 6 weeks because we really don't know when the Board of Trustees meets all the time. They do meet once a month, but that's the only time they do that. So you got to make sure that you hit a certain time period in advance to make sure that you get on the agenda, which I believe is usually, we try and get it to them a week ahead of, so there's a meeting next week, Friday. We would have liked to have had our agenda item into the president's office by last week, Friday. So it's basically almost a 10-day lead. So that way we can get it in and they won't deny us because they have questions. Contractors. So think about this way. When you do a reimbursement, it's very similar to doing a vendor thing, except you don't have to worry about the W-9. Reimbursements, again, original receipts. But What if we want to do a contract? What if we want to get a speaker? Someone wants to bring a speaker in to speak on whatever event. Or if we're going to bring someone to come in and do African drummers, right, for an event. Again, same policy. The club must vote to approve the expenditure. You must complete a contract, which you will get from us. Ask us for the contract. Then you must request them to complete tax forms. These forms Ms. Sharon will give you. They're generally the I-9, which says they have the right to work in the United States. And it's also the other one about their tax information, like how are we going to tax them on that? Okay, those are document documents. All of that gets sent to Ms. Sharon. So again, that's the requisition paying for them. You write out again your check. The contract that we have created a contract that they sign and return to us. They will send us their tax forms, and then you need to send us the minutes for the AS meeting where this expenditure was approved. Then all of this paperwork is cleaned up by Ms. Sharon. It's routed to Mike Bush for Dr. Bush for signature, and then the check can be cut. Now, because this usually used to happen all in-house with us, so we were only getting signatures within our office, which was always a challenge. But now not only do we add the challenge of getting Dean Cobb available and Ms. Sharon to do this, and for me to sign it and for you to sign it as AS members, right? We had to track down Mackenzie, then it came to me, and then it went to, I would want to call her Dr. Cobb. She's going to be Dr. Cobb next week. Dean Cobb, and now it needs to go, and then it would go up to the bank, but now it goes outside our office to Dr. Bush, and he does not realize the volume of work that we sent him. So I have no idea what the timeline now for Dr. Bush to sign these things are. So it could be longer. So again, you want to think if you're going to have a contractor, make sure you plan this stuff 4 to 6 weeks in advance, especially if it's over $3,000. Okay. Last thing, a note about how we go about this processing. You always want to remember that the bank is requiring proof of purchase items. So for instance, if you got an item, they actually asked me for t-shirts. We bought t-shirts, and what they wanted, they wouldn't cut the check until I proved to them that the t-shirts were here. And I'm like, what do you want me to bring you up one of those t-shirts? And they weren't really kidding. So just be aware that they might ask you for proof that whatever you purchased is there. All contracts now must go to purchasing. That adds extra time. And it's just now we're all getting used to this new system. All the paperwork is brand new. We're trying out a new signature system and a workflow. So just be patient with everything as we go. Okay. So
Wait,
any questions?
Carrie,
Yeah.
hold on. I'm laughing because the bank is requiring proof that purchased items they need physical proof.
They were asking me physical proof earlier, like, how do we know you got this from Amazon? I'm like, okay, they're like, send us the receipt that Amazon puts in the box. I'm like, they don't do that anymore. They don't always do that. Like, how did you get these t-shirts? And so basically I had to say, yes, I did get the t-shirts. And so they kind of calmed down off of that whole point of showing them the product, but I wouldn't put it past them. So
Unbelievable. Yeah, right, David. They just wanted a t-shirt. I agree.
I would have given them a t-shirt.
It's a lot, and Carrie and I have been admittedly, or maybe just me, I've been kind of banging my head sometimes creating these procedures because there's so many things that need to happen and so many pieces of information. And I feel like it's, for clubs, right, it's not exactly an equitable process because it's so complicated, but that's the way it is. Carrie, I did create the written documentation on stimulus funding, and what you just showed pretty much kind of mirrors that. So I don't know, maybe I can just remodel that document a little bit and then send it to everybody AS so that they just.
Yeah, but I wanted folks to see the process because we're now starting to get stuff paid. So now you understand what the process is.
I will put that link in the chat, and just like my MailChimp emails, I put all the links to all the things in one place with that document. So.
Anyone have questions about how to spend our money? Kelly, yours is actually even more because the majority of your money has to now travel out to Mike Bush. It used to be Dr. Olivo and Dean Cobb. Now it might be Dr. Olivo and Mike Bush. I'm not sure. They haven't told me the final number of signatures. It's really ridiculous. When you see these now, they're looking at 6 to 8 signatures on a requisition. So our money will be the most accounted for money ever.
Oh,
which is a good thing, I suppose, right?
good thing.
So,
Is there somewhere that we could go and look at the financial policies for the district?
so that's the thing that the district has discovered, that they didn't have financial policies. So that's what they're writing.
That was our first question, David. Like that was Dean Cobb's was we need to see
Where's
it
the
in writing, and they could not produce anything in writing that said that these were the policies that were stated.
Yeah. Like we keep pushing back. Like, why are you asking us this? This is ridiculous. When we talk to the auditors tell us one thing and another office on campus says they want something else. And I'm like, well, where is it in writing? Where's the ed code that says that? So this is why it's taken us, what is this, October? And we've been talking about this since June. And we've barely gotten to this point now. So now you understand what Chris is more frustrated with it than I am. Because I'm just like, I know these people. So there's that. Any other questions? Oh, by the way, David, Dean Cobb's writing those fiscal policies now.
And then Carrie, since we're on the topic of money, do we want to talk a little bit about the categories and everything and how we're going to go about that, since we do have some new people with us?
Certainly. Can you pull up the budget?
Yep, I should be able to. Or actually, let me find it first before I hit share screen.
Okay. One other thing also
Actually, Mackenzie, do you want me to just share my?
That works too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Actually, Jordan, I was going to put you on the spot for something. Because the other thing I did want to talk about today was that we just recently had National Coming Out Day. We also recognized Transgender Awareness Day. And we've never really fully delved into the whole conversation about personal pronouns. If you notice my name, I identify as she and her. Those are the pronouns I prefer to use.
Is this it? Sorry, I'm sorry, Carrie.
Yep. Is that the correct one?
That should be.
Okay.
No.
No.
Well, sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I know for miscellaneous we did this, but you know what? I have the one that I made up with Kyle and Christina. So let me pull that one up. Sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
Okay. So we never really did have a deep conversation about why pronouns matter. So I want to throw that out to you. I will put a conversation in the chat, but I'll tell you, as we get to understand more around this idea of what gender is, we are coming to the understanding that it's not a black and white issue, that it is something can be a multiple progression, and where you are now may not be where you will be in 5 years. So one of the conversations that I did want to have you kind of jump in on is this whole idea of putting up what your personal pronouns are. And a lot of folks when we first started having this, were like, oh, it's so inconvenient. Why are we doing this? They can just tell me what their pronouns are and I'll use them, or we don't have to use pronouns, you know. But what it really signifies to people whose gender identity and what's the other one, Jordan? Gender identity, cisgendered.
And expression.
An expression match. It lets them know that, hey, I respect you and I'm open. It's that little signal, that little cue that says, I understand that my identifiers are she and her, but they may not necessarily be yours. And it shows that this is a person that they can have a conversation with, they can feel safe, that they're not going to be attacked. And it's very inclusive, because it then outreaches to everyone to let them know that you at least understand this conversation. And you may not know everything, right? But at least you know enough to know that not everyone identifies with their gender expression, or their gender expression does not match their biological sex. And that gender expression is really fluid. We're coming to embrace that now. So there is something, I'll put it in the chat about why pronouns matter. I'd encourage you to think about, you know, if you feel like this is something you can embrace, that you do put up your pronouns. It is a learning process. I still misgender folks. But you just say sorry and move on and do better, right? I think part of this whole conversation about us learning is that we know that no one is here to intentionally hurt people. But when we do hurt people, we say, sorry, I'll do better, and then move on. So that was part of the other conversation, you know, when we talked last summer, when we were even talking about the whole Black Lives Matter, and we talked about privilege and how anti-Blackness works. This is another area of oppression that kind of follows along with that. So I will put the chat in there, why pronouns matter. You can read that, and then really encourage you to make sure that, you know, last year's board was down with it. And when you do look at your Zoom, rename yourself to include your gender pronouns so that folks know that you are open or you understand how that works. Jordan, did I miss anything? Can you help me out here?
No, I think you need to also, to those that are considered allies within the community. I was just having a conversation with two of my really close friends about this, right? They were like, well, why? I don't understand why people are putting these pronouns on, you know, these Zooms, right? And my thing is, in my experience, especially as somebody that identifies as LGBTQ+, 95% of the time, you know, usually people who the expression that you see, or somebody that is on a Zoom, right? Normally if they have a pronoun there and you're like, oh, I would have guessed that they or he or she, that's what they are. However, it's the small percentage, right? It's that maybe 5 or maybe 10% where you will say the wrong pronoun and they don't have, right? And so I think it's important, if we start doing it, if we start doing these things that are important to individuals, right? It sends a message out saying, well, you know, I'm an ally to the community. This is how I identify, but also it allows other people, like, let's say, for example, you as students, your student leaders, you're sending out the message that it's okay. I'm an ally. I'm someone that is really willing to talk about it, but recognize too, you're going to mess up. I mess up all the time. I mess up calling people the wrong pronouns all the time when I need to call them something else. And know that that's a journey, and that you need to be okay with being uncomfortable messing up. And that's okay. It's the fact that you learn from that mistake and then you just keep trying, right, to do that. And so I think it's just important that if it's just something as small as putting like he, him, his right here, right? Like, that's nothing. Like, that's something that I can do that's small, that will allow somebody else that may be a part of the LGBTQ community, or somebody that's not, that's like, why do you have your pronouns there? And it's like, great, I'm so glad you asked me this question, right? So thank you, Carrie, for bringing that up. I think it's important. I was just having that conversation the other day with two of my friends. So let me put up the budget. So Mackenzie one. That should be the current.
Okay. So Mackenzie, do you want to talk about this, how it came up? Or Jasmine, I think, also was part of this conversation too.
Yep. All right, so I can go ahead and talk a little bit about this. You guys can always jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, because y'all know how I like to ramble. But anyways, so generally before in the past, each position would be assigned a certain amount of money, or they would be allotted a certain amount of money. So let's say campus activities would have 10,000, lobby would have a lot of money. But anyways, we used to each be assigned a certain amount of money. But now, because we are online and because our events and everything is shifting, we decided that it would be better if we split the money by categories instead. So what we do now is whenever you want to present your budget, you're going to say which categories it comes from. It's going to be a general consensus from the rest of the group on what you're spending your money on. The whole idea of doing this, though, was because generally you can't do your mandatory, okay, each position you're doing 2 events here, you're doing 3 events here. Now that we're online and everything has shifted, those numbers are out the window. And so this was our way to sort of adjust to this new virtual world we're living in. This is just my shorthand answer of it. Anybody have something they want to add that was working on this? This is just my quick answer.
So I think it's important to recognize that back in the long time ago's days before COVID,
a year,
whenever we would submit a budget, whenever an individual AS member officer would submit a budget, it would come from VP for student services budget, or it would come from VP for public relations budget in the line item marketing campaign, right? Now we have to change that to, so let's say, for example, I am a VP of student equity, right? I'll be Jasmine for a minute. So I'm Jasmine and I want to submit a budget. Now my budget is going to say to come from either publicity, incentives, or postage, right? Instead of saying VP for student equity, right? And so that's the main difference when submitting a budget and submitting an item to get approved, is you're gonna put one of these categorical line items instead of putting your specific title and where within that title's budget would do. If that, does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, Michael or Philly, please let me know.
Also, the reason we did it this way is because this represents the way the college does business now. And these are, we tried to match these categoricals as closely to ones that the college recognizes so that they understand what we're doing. David, I forgot, we're gonna have to take this to the, we're supposed to bring this to the Board of Trustees technically for them to approve. So once we've, I think gotten the go ahead on how that process will work, we need to take it in. And then Jordan, I forgot, this needs to be posted on their webpage.
Wait, really?
Mm-hmm. So what's supposed to happen is in the summer. So Michael, what you're gonna do is before you leave office in June, you will set up a similar budget like this tentative budget. It'll go to the Board of Trustees. So that way they can, AS can operate off a tentative budget. And then usually we recommend in October, after all of the money, the income money comes in, we reassess the budget and submit a finalized budget for the year. So we just, Dean Cobb just got the numbers in, and this year we're okay. Next year's going to be dismal. So I already know that you're probably all going to lose. You're all probably going to lose about 20 grand off of this budget.
Well, mum's the word. I won't tell anyone. Just
right.
But yeah, that's how, I mean, honestly too, it's because of this pandemic, everything has been pushed back. You know what I mean? And so this is, I'm glad I knew that, but now that you telling me that, I'm like, oh yeah. But.
Well, it's also the pandemic and also us embracing a new system without any written rules.
Right.
So. Anyone have questions about these categories? Michael, you're going to have your hands full, just getting back up to date. And then once you're settled, I'd like to meet with you and Kyle because we have a policy that says anything under $299.99 can be approved without bringing it to the AS board. I think we need to relook at that in a way that's meaningful. So questions. Any thoughts about
good?
Any thoughts about personal pronouns? We kind of jumped in and jumped out. Any thoughts you all want to have on that? Questions you want to have? Now's the time to have the conversation.
Think we're all good.
All right. We're done 5 minutes early.
All right, I'm going to bring back up the agenda. Did somebody have something they wanted to say before I ramble on?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because I know that Carrie was saying that, you know, I'll be brought up to speed. I'm just wondering when that's going to happen so I could kind of prepare for that.
Well, after today's meeting was going to be the time we were going to set up a meeting.
Set up meetings with you and everyone that you need to meet with.
Okay. And how are we going to go about setting up these meetings, though? Is it going to be through like emails or?
So what I was hoping is, so we're in the middle. So technically we're still in the middle of an item. And I was going to wait till the meeting was finished because we have, the agenda is a prescribed list of what we can and cannot talk about. So once that was done, then I was going to have the conversation with you. I was going to ask you and Philly to hang out after so we can set these things up.
Does anybody have anything else before I move on with this lovely agenda? No? All right, then we can go ahead and move on to appointment to college-wide committees. Carrie, I haven't heard anything about any other student reps that we need. Have you heard anything?
You need to appoint Emmanuel to health and safety.
Okay. I think we already had him appointed on that.
Okay.
Yeah. He should have already been appointed to that. If not, then can I just do it next week then? Because I'm pretty sure we did.
Yeah.
All right. Any other committees?
Not that I've heard of.
All right. Moving on to appointment to AS committees. Does anybody here have anybody they'd like to appoint to their committees? No? Okay, looks like it'll be next week then. Moving on to bill acceptance. Kelly, do we have any bill acceptance?
No, ma'am, not until our committee, but that's exciting.
All right, great. Moving on to public comment on non-agenda items. Do we have any public comments?
4 people on the feed, 2 of us, you and me. I'll ask one last time for public comment.
All right, then we can go ahead and give them a minute. Since we usually have our public comment on this call today.
Well, how many AS members are on the call?
Right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No,
We have 9.
I'm on the Zoom. Kelly, Mackenzie, you're on the Zoom. Anyone else on the Zoom? Ooh, you have 2 people watching. That's exciting.
Yay.
We have 5 subscribers too, if you look at it. So.
But I'm subscribing.
I subscribed. I turned on alerts.
Watch it all be us. I think I'm subscribed to.
Probably is.
So that could be all us.
So, okay, I'm going to say there's no public comment.
All right. Moving on to announcements. Does anybody have any sort of announcements? Oh, and for new people, you guys can announce anything you want. So if you hear something in the community, something in your classes, events, so something you've been hearing, you can say that too. So I'm going to open the floor to announcements.
I'll go ahead and talk about my upcoming event. So please be sure to check out our movie night this Friday. It's going down from 7 to 9 p.m. We are having some giveaways, so be sure for PCC students. We are having our first distribution at Rosemead from 11 to 1 p.m. And then from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. we're gonna have our Colorado campus distribution. So make sure to come through, grab your goodies and essentials for the movie night. So yeah, and then the movie night is going to be hosted by CORE. So I hope to see y'all there.
All right. Thank you, Jasmine. Do we have any other announcements?
I have
Student Senate.
It's okay, David can go first.
Sorry. So Student Senate is looking for students to serve on the California Student Aid Commission Committee on CalFresh. So if anyone knows anyone, or if you have experience with CalFresh and you want to provide input for state leaders to maybe revise their policies on it, just reach out to me and I'll put you in.
All right. Thank you, David. Louise, you're up.
Yeah, Carrie kind of mentioned this earlier in the meeting, but the Undocumented Student Week of Action is officially October 19th to 23rd, and the PCC's Quest is actually doing stuff that week. They haven't really announced it on their social media yet, but they did email people, so look out for that, and also look out for just other colleges that are also celebrating this as well, just kind of get informed. So yeah, super excited.
All right, great. Thank you, Louise. Do we have any other announcements? Jordan.
Don't forget the LGBTQ mixer is tomorrow, October 15th from 12 to 1. It's posted on the Cross Cultural Center page. So if you need the Zoom for that, please come by, show support. I'll be emceeing the event because I was voluntold. So just kidding. Matt he didn't force me, but he threw me as a person in the meeting, and then they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh God. So
you're like, I guess.
I was like, okay, fine. I mean, I guess. Anyway, so please come by, show your support. We're going to be doing a lot of fun things. We're going to do a scavenger hunt. So that's tomorrow. I forgot what else. Yes, Jasmine's event is on Friday. But yeah, come to the mixer tomorrow.
All right, great. Thank you, Jordan. Do we have any other announcements? I see we have a little guest in the corner screen there.
Who else? Oh, it's like,
there's a cat.
Okay. So don't forget to, where's the cat? To contact me, because The lovely hot spots are in, so we need to make, we need to figure out how to get them to you. Jasmine, are you using yours?
My hotspot?
Yeah.
I haven't tested it out yet, but I will.
Okay. So for those of you that said you wanted one, please contact me so we can get you your hotspot.
Great. Any other announcements, comments, anything you'd like to say at this point? No? Wow, you all really just want to hear me talk. All right, so moving on to future meeting dates and times. Our next meeting is October 21st. As always, any agenda items that you have, send to me by October 15th, 2020 by 11:59 p.m. If you have any supplemental items you need, make sure you send those as well. So for example, for new people, if you're presenting a budget, you'll need to make sure you send me that budget. Other than that, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting at 2:02 p.m. Can I get a motion?
I'll first.
Adjourn.
All right, so we had a first by, I think that was Jasmine. Was that Jasmine or Louise?
Jasmine.
All right, it's by Jasmine. Heard a second by Chris. Since people have been leaving, I'm just going to call you based off how I see you on my screen. Chris?
Aye.
Louise?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jasmine?
Aye.
Philly?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
All right. Our meeting is officially adjourned. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and get us off this live. Let me stop the
Cat's
recording.
name.
There we go.
What's the cat's name?
Cat's name is Kirby.
It's Kirby.
Kirby, yep.
Did he come to the interview?